I want to welcome everybody. Today we are doing a webinar of RESP, and I'll introduce Harpreet Puri and Mr. Harjinder Sandhu, and I want you guys to take over.
Thank you, Pushpinder. Hello, everyone, and very good evening to all. So thank you very much for joining us today's webinar. And this is Harpreet Puri from Canadian LIC, and it's been 12 years I'm serving the industry.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you, Harpreet. And this is Harjinder from LIC Insurance. And I'm very delighted to have you all today here. And I look forward to being interactive with you and look forward to a good discussion.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, how do you guys want to start? Just proceed with it right away?
Yes, let's do that. And just a couple of things. If anybody has any questions, meanwhile, just put it in the chat box or a Q&A session, and we'll answer them on the go.
Yep.
Or you can raise your hand and then we will unmute your lines.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Sounds good. So, welcome again.
Thank you. So after the great success of last year's seminar, we are here again this year. And then definitely thank you everyone for last year's response and supporting us the whole year. For business, lovely business, we had a great year. And then we're hoping you also had a good year as well. So today's agenda, we are talking about today's agenda. So can you change the sentence? Yes. So we'll be talking today as the topic itself says, we will be learning about the ABC of RESP. How does the RESP work? What are the main things when we are planning for RESP? Why we should plan for RESP? So we'll be discussing today the changing the cost of education. How does that affect the cost of education? Because of that, why we need to plan and how we plan the university, how we plan our kids' college, university expenses. What is the role of RESP in that? And then at the end, we will also do the comparison of different investments available. So we'll do the financial with the other financial tools, how we compare the RESP. So over to you, Harjinder. So
Harpreet, why don't you go ahead and introduce and then we
So a little bit of about Canadian LIC. We're working as a brokerage, and it's been 12 years we're serving in the financial industry. We are providing the insurance services, investment services, which includes life insurance, critical illness insurance, disability insurance, any super visa insurance we wanted, and travel insurance, kids education plans, TFSA, RRSPs, and group plans if you're a businessman, you're looking for group plans and stuff. So we provide all the insurance and investment services at Canadian LIC. And then if you're talking about RESP Partners, because today's topic is RESP. So today our main major partners in RESP is Manulife, Industrial Alliance, Canada Life, and HRL. So here is my team, great team, and which is here to serve you. So can you just, yes. So we have a strong team. We have close to 40 advisors working in our company, and then they're here, and they're definitely there to help you with all the financial or insurance needs. So if we go further, so why don't you, Harjinder, why don't you start with the change in the cost of education, which we are discussing, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure, Harpreet. Thank you for the introduction. So when it comes to the cost of education, the first thing in the RESP comes that what the parents need to plan for, because we need to understand that how the cost of education has changed in Canada. So we recently pulled out a report from Stats Canada, which is a TLAC report, which is a tuition and living accommodation cost report, which is released by Stats Canada every year. So this particular report, what it reported that the average Canadian student paid about $6,700 in annual tuition fees, which was around 1.7% increase from what the student paid in 2020. So this is a little bit of factor when it comes to inflation. So this is year-on-year increase, which is about 1.7% when we're talking about the undergraduate courses across the Canada, averaging out all the courses. But what I specifically want to point out in this particular slide is that when you see the trend and when you see the specific professional courses like a medicine, law, dentistry, optometry, these kind of courses, the average annual fees, it ranges from somewhere between 11,000 to 22,000 annual tuition fees only. And I want to make the parents aware that this is a tuition fees only, so there is accommodation cost and other factors, which, as you all know, in Canada, as of now, we are sitting on the highest level of the inflation of about over 4%. So those increase in accommodation costs, they follow the general inflation trends. But the data that we are presenting you here is specifically related to the cost of tuition and cost of college education. And if you proceed further with the slide, and these are just the snapshots from what latest Statistics Canada released just a 2 months ago in terms of increase in the annual tuition fees. But what comes further when we, as I was saying, this is a year-on-year increase in the fees. But when we go further and see the last 15 years of trend in the tuition fees, so these are the different courses across the different streams. If you look into the stream of law, the stream of engineering, dentistry, regular MBA courses, engineering courses, those type of courses, we are somewhere seeing the increase in the last 15 years of somewhere between 29% to 232%. So different streams has a different increase in the cost, and I think in general this follows the demand and the wages that you receive once you graduate from that particular stream, right? So that may be the one reason that why a specific course increased by 200% and the other has increased by 29%. But Harpreet, I want to just pause here and ask you a question, right? That when parents feel that this is a trend and this continues over the period of time, but when the parents are planning for their kids' education, and most of the parents, I'm sure, who are joining us must be having young kids. So what they need to see in terms of when they are planning for their kids 15, 18 years from today.
Yes.
So can you just talk about
so can you run this next slide? So if we see that you were talking about you were talking to last year change, the cost of change in last year, right?
Yes.
So let's take it 15 years window. So if we go 15 years back in 2006, the annual graduation tuition fees undergraduate was $5,000. But if you're talking about today, it is
around 8,000.
Yes, sorry, I can see my window. Okay, so it's around $8,000, right? And then if we are talking about like the 4-year course, university course, which was costing in 2006 only 20,000, now it's 32,000 dollars, right?
Yeah.
If we go with the same trend, same increment, down the road 15 years, what we are looking at is close to $50,000.
Yes.
That's the cost of tuition fee we are looking at, right?
Yes.
So that is why the parent has to have start the planning today, so that you know what, this is a very strong reason that the cost of insurance is going up. How are we gonna manage all the things? How are we gonna, being a parent, I am also a parent. So if I have like let's say 2 kids, 3 kids, if I'm like spending like all my kids want to go to the university, I need a big chunk of money to support their education.
That's right.
On the other hand, if I start in the beginning, then I have like, okay, I have some funds available, and then which I can use for that could be a very big help down the road.
That's why they say that inflation is the biggest enemy when it comes to the power and the value of the money. So I think these are the good trends to this lays a good foundation, Harpreet, that there is certainly a lot of increase in the past 15 years, and we are expecting a good increase in the next 15 years as well. So when it comes to this, then what are the options available for the parents to plan for their kids' education?
Yes. So let's talk about, let's say if we don't get the RESP, so what other options we have it? So a lot of parents I have seen in my career, like last 12 years, the lot of parents, this is okay, they are actually relying on student loans. Yes, the government is giving student loans, but if we are talking down the road 15 years, 20 years, first thing, whether the loans will be available or not. Second thing is whether my child will be eligible for that loan or not. Because if you go through that loan process, you will see there's a criteria that has to be, you have to qualify. There's a certain amount of marks you need. There's the parents' income also, they consider like whether parents have to have a very low income. So that means if the parents have a higher income, the child doesn't qualify for the student loan. So that's a very big hassle. So we cannot rely down the road 15 years, 20 years when my kids is going in the school university that okay, I have that student loan option. So for me, I would say it's a very bad option. We can have it. And then second thing we can say, okay, we have the houses, they're growing very well, which is very good. But then the parents, I have seen so many parents, they have to take out the they didn't plan ahead, so they have to take out the equity from their house.
Yeah.
Look, imagine that I'm 50 years or 55 years or 60-year-old, and I have to take out the equity from my house to pay my kids' education. Then that means at 55, 50, whatever age I am, I'm taking another mortgage.
Yes.
Whether I'm ready at that stage, whether my health allows to me to take that equity out that time, whether what will be my repaying the capacity. So this could be a very good, very kind of a situation where equity, I don't think so. We should be relying on that. So then the third option comes up, RES. And today we will be talking definitely RESP being a parent. I definitely see it's a very good tool where we can have a kids education where we can plan from the beginning as soon as they're born. We can plan for them. We can start a saving plan and then down the road we are saving and then we will see in the next slide how the RESP build up goes on, right?
That's right. So no, Harpreet, you brought it out right. So there is of course, the other tools are available, but there is a need to plan from the beginning. So let's talk about RESP. Let's get into the topic. Give a basic details about what RESP is, and then we'll talk about grants and the other details.
Yes. So as the name says, RESP, it means Registered Education Savings Plan. We can open any saving plan and we can use it as being the parent. Okay, this is for I open a new I open a separate account. This is the saving account for my kids' education. Can be done. But tomorrow, let's say, if ever I have need any funds, the first thing I'm going to do access those funds, and then I'm back to square one, right? On the other hand, if I have a disciplined kind of saving strategies like RESP, right? So it's a registered plan. So what's the benefit of it being registered with the CRA? That you are allowed to actually you are eligible to get the grant on top of that. So there are three, four, I would say, things in this. This is how the RESP works. The principal you are putting in, the money the parents are putting in, and the grants the government is giving you the grants. And on top of that, the money in the RESP, which is like a principal and grants, they're growing. So that's the interest portion is also there. And few companies allow us certain bonuses, which actually by the time if we're talking about the compounding interest factor. So everything is getting accumulated, and by the time 18 years, it's going to be a good amount of money that you can use for your child education. So basically, principal is the parents' contribution, grant, and then interest. That's how the RESP account is.
Okay. So you mentioned about that there are the different grants a parent can get in RESP, and that's the reason it is different from what putting a money in a checking or savings account or opening a separate savings account for the child versus what you do in RESP. Okay. So, but there is a usual myth, and most of the parents, they come to me as well. They ask the question that our income is very high, and so we won't be getting any grant. Or we open the RESP and then even if we don't contribute in the RESP, we will keep getting the grants. So let's talk about that and see what type of grants are income dependent and what type of grants are not.
Yes, definitely. So if we are talking about the grants, there are three types of grants. One is the CEST, which is Canada Education Savings Grant, which is the basic grant regardless of parents' income. Every child qualifies for that. So whatever the parents are putting in, 20% of that, but definitely there is a cap that annually you can contribute that much. Whatever you are putting in as a principal, 20% of that, every parent is eligible to. Sorry, every child is eligible to get the grant of that.
So if there are 3 children in the family, can everybody get 7,200?
Yes. Okay. So it's per child. $7,200. That's what the grant they are getting.
And let's say if a parent is earning 200,000 as an income, can they still get $7,200 grant?
If they have 3 kids, they will be getting 3 kids, 7,200, 7,200, 7,200. So this is the grant which is not related to your family income. Yeah. And if you're talking about CLB, Canada Learning Bond, that is something which is definitely related to the family income. Mm-hmm. So if your family income, net income is less than $49,000. $20, then the first year you open the account, you get the $500 as a CLB, Canada Learning Board. And then after any So any year you qualify for any further year you qualify, your family income and net income is less than certain amount, whatever it is on the CRA chart, you will be qualifying for additional $100 PLP. So that's how the
Okay.
thing.
So basically, you are saying that there is a two categories of the grant. One is the basic, which is $7,200,
Yes.
which every parent can get,
Mhm.
and they match 20% to your contribution. So I want to clarify that. So it's not like if a parent is contributing, let's say $100, they will be still getting $7,200.
There will be, so that's a very good question, Virginia. So this is like everyone is confused on that. If I open an account with $25, I'll be getting $7,200. Please, we need to educate ourselves here. So if you're putting $100, you will be getting the 20% of $100.
Okay.
So which
So they
is
match
$20.
your
Yes.
Okay.
So it has, and there was another question you were asking, the regular contribution in RESP doesn't require. Yes. If we are talking journals, then yes, you don't need to, if you can just simply open an account, but how the account will grow, that is the question.
Yes.
We are talking about here about saving the money.
Mhm.
We're not talking about like just opening account and doing the formality.
Okay.
That is not the question here. Here it is how we can accumulate the funds in the
Mhm.
RES.
Mhm.
On that, so I want educate everyone. Keep it first. You put the principal,
Mhm.
and then on whatever the principal you are putting in, you will get the grant on top of that.
Got it.
So if you are putting $200 a month, then you will be getting 20% of that, which will be $40 a month. That's the grant you will be eligible.
So sometimes what happens, Harpreet, that the parents say, and I understand some family situations are always different. So what if the parents have missed the previous years? So is there a way that they can catch up?
Yes, definitely. So you have multiple choices. Depends like which company, which service provider you are going with.
Mhm.
So there are multiple options. Some companies allow you if you are in a contract kind of a situation, then they allow you a year. Some companies allow you end of the year of the this coming year if you missed any contribution. If you are already running the policy, right, running a RESP plan. But sometimes some RESP plans they allow you to deposit lump sum as well.
Okay.
So you can go pay as you go kind of a thing. But I always recommend go with the disciplined monthly contribution. So that will not actually put a lot of pressure on a parent.
Yeah.
Because you know what, you're in a discipline every month you're paying $100, $200. It's getting out of your account and then everyone, you don't need to worry about the things.
Yeah.
On the other hand, yes, you have a flexibility to contribute. Let's say you have $1,000, you want to put in a lump sum $1,000 in the RESP, you can put it in, and then on that $1,000, whatever the grant you're eligible to, you can get that grant as well.
So there is a way to catch up.
Yes.
Okay, so just to sum up, right? So a basic grant you are saying is $7,200, and then the CLP based on the income of the family, it's $2,000. So what we are looking at in terms of total grant that we can receive is $9,200 per child in the family.
Yes, sir.
Okay, got it. So let's go ahead and just talk about that how RESP as a total account looks like. So as we said that any RESP plan, it starts with you as a parent. You as a parent start contributing in the plan. It's your principal which you invest in the plan. As a parent, the maximum that you can contribute for your child is $50,000. And that's your principal. The overall money could be 80,000, 90,000 with grants and interest. But your portion can never, your investment can never go over, should not go over 50,000. It can go over 50,000, but then there are some certain penalties charged by the CRA because it's a registered account. And then on top of that, you get up to $9,200 grants, which is CESG and CLP combined together. And on top of that, your contribution and grants combined together, you invest that money based on your investment, and that money grows over 18 years or the time it is invested in the plan, and it grows by the compound interest. So whatever you are putting on top of that, there is a grant. On top of that, there's interest, and that's how you build your RESP account. When a parent gets a statement for RESP account every year, they see that the breakup, there's a clear breakup on the statement, which shows what you have invested, how much grant you have received, and how much interest you have earned over the period of time. And there are certain plans in the RESP which give you, in case, depend on the age of the child, they give you up to 15% bonus. So if you go on the next slide, you'll see that there is around a 15% bonus matching to your contributions, but it is specific to certain company, it is specific to a certain plan. And our parents can set up a one-to-one appointment with us and we can get into further details of that.
Yeah, and also it's the 15% bonus is not for everyone. It is also age related as well.
Yes.
If your child is less than 4 years old, it's going to be 15% as the child grows older. The bonus actually getting reduced.
Yes.
So that's another thing.
That's right. So Harpreet, here I want to ask one question to you before I ask other myths as before that. That when it comes to the investment choices the parent have, like, is it the parent responsible for doing the investment choices, or can they depend on professional for doing that, or a company who they are relying on for RESP?
So that is where it comes up. Like it depends the parents, what company the parents choose, and what kind of a plan they're choosing.
Okay.
So there are two types of RESP plans. One are self-maintained.
Okay.
We call it self-maintained. It's not self-maintained. The companies maintain those.
Okay.
Right. So it's like big chunk of money, big pool of money. The company's professionals, they handle their thing. And then there are another type of plans which are like, which we call it, which are run by, which are investment, purely kind of investment plans. And those plans are mostly run by the parents. Their investment
Professional.
portfolio, and then they're as the advisor.
Okay.
So if you're going through a investment kind of RESP, definitely you should be meeting your advisor once a year at least, sitting with them and talking to them whether your investments are doing up to date or they're like, are you behind somewhere? The investment you chose is not working the way it's supposed to work. So definitely, if it's an investment RESP, you should be sitting with your advisor every year and discussing that. On the other hand, if we say on the self-maintained RESP plans, we don't need to do a lot in that, but still, I always say go and sit down with your advisor and see how even the self-regulator was like, what could be the reason if the company is getting very low returns or very high returns, how the returns are working, whether. And I have seen that people open their account, RESP account, and then they didn't see it for years. And then sometimes I have seen that they have missed years of grant. The advisor didn't click the button, and then they didn't get the grant for years. And then they're not only losing the grant, you can catch it up later years, but problem is the growth. You're missing. If you didn't get the grant for 3 years, you missed the 3 years growth. So that's a very important thing. So definitely, I would recommend that it depends on the client and it depends on the advisor what type of portfolio they choose, if they want to go on a maintained one or self-maintained one.
Okay, so basically this is the build, right? That this is how you build the grant. So you build the grant based on so you contribute, there is a grant, and then you earn the interest, and if you're eligible, you will get a bonus, and that's how you build the account for 18 years, usually up to age 18, but RESP can continue up to age 35 or up to 36 years when you open it. But usually when we say the child is ready to pursue the education, it's about 17 or 18 years old, right? Okay, so let me go back, step back, Harpreet, and I want to ask you I want to clarify some points with you, because we build the account, everybody's happy to build the account because we love to save, right? And we love to see the money getting accumulated, getting saved, right? But it's important to understand that when we try to withdraw the money, then we need to understand clearly what are the options for a parent to withdraw the money. So let's say, is it only when a child pursues full-time college, only then they can withdraw it? This is my first question. The second question is, what if my child goes outside of Canada and try to study there? Then am I eligible to take out the RESP money? And in case for any reason my child is not going to the college, then what are my options to take out the money from the RESP?
Yes.
So let's talk about that.
So yeah, the first question you were asking, Kiki, when I can, whether if it's a child is only full time, then only you can withdraw the money. No, there is no restriction on that. You can withdraw the money if your child goes to. That's another thing. There's another thing comes up. So some companies have, which we call the scholarship plans. They have the restriction that you cannot take out the money. Your child has to go for 4 years, stuff like that. But then most of the time these days, what we are doing is individual plans or family plans. In those plans, the flexibility is if your child goes 13 weeks course, anywhere in the world by authorized colleges or universities, anywhere in the world, not only within Canada. So they'll be eligible to. So there are parts as we created a plan. with RESP with principal contribution. So that's how the plan, if you actually, when you take out the money, you take out the money, not like as a lump sum, let's say it's 80,000 here, 80,000, I can take it out one time. So there is because it's a registered account, so there is a CRA guidelines that within those guidelines, you have to take out the money. So let's talk about the principal first. So principal, you can take it out in one shot. There's no restriction on that. You can take it out. Parents can take it out at one shot because it's a after-tax money, so there is no tax to parents as well. So if they want to take it out. And the second part is grants, earnings, which means growth, bonus, and everything. So that money actually belongs to the child. So it goes to child, and then the child, when they are taking out the first year, there's a limit that they have to have. They can take out as 5,000. And then after that, they can take out the full, whatever, let's say there is a 25,000. First year, they can only take out the 5,000, and the next following year, they can take full 20,000.
Okay.
Out of those grant earnings section,
So
EAP payments.
EAP payments.
That's called EAP payments, right? But the contribution the client has done it, the principal we have put it in, the parents have put it in, they can take it out in one shot.
Okay, got it. And so you said that the contributions can be taken out either a full, can the parent do a partial withdrawal?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
You have a total.
And it's non-taxable to the parent.
Yes.
Okay. And what about the grants and the interest? So EAP payments, are they taxable?
Yes, those payments are taxable, but those payments are mostly we refer. That's why you need a full-time advisor to guide you that how you are taking out the money. That's also a kind of I would say a planning. Because if you take out all the money, then you might be facing the tax consequences. On the other hand, so I have because it's been 12 years I'm doing it. I have helped so many families to take out the money as well. So that's how we plan it. So it depends how much money they needed. So we say, okay, this much amount, this portion we will be taking out on a child's name, and this person, that's called beneficiary name, and then this part we will be taking out on subscriber or joint subscribers name. Because there is no tax consequences on the contribution part, but on EAP there's a tax consequences. And as the beneficiary means child doesn't have any other income. So what it is, it's going to be very less taxable. And plus they have tuition credits, I don't think so. So very, very few taxes actually.
But they do get a T for it.
Yes, they do.
So,
but that right off with the
Credits.
student credits and stuff. Yes, please.
so you guys want to take some case study or show an example?
Yes. We'll be going to that, but before I go to that, I want to go back to previous slide.
Sure.
And talk about what if my child is not studying? Then in that case, what happens, Harpreet? So what happens to, let's talk about my contribution, the money that I invested as a parent. What happens to my money?
So your money, if the child doesn't go a single day, doesn't go at all. So your money is your money. You can take out the principal at the end of the period, and then you can get out the money. You can roll over to it to your Rdsp if there is a room. You can roll over there.
That's for the grants and
no.
Or the contribution.
Grants will not. If your child doesn't go to the school at all, the grants and earning on the grants will go back to the government.
Yes.
And then earnings, the principal is your money, so you will take it out at one time. The full contribution you can take it out, but the interest on your contribution, you will be paying the taxes on that if you're taking out. If you're rolling out the interest portion to your Rdsp, then you will be not giving the.
So basically, what we are saying that
it's also art taking out.
Correct. So basically, whatever earnings I made over the period of time, despite of taking it out and paying the tax on that, I can roll over to my Rdsp, provided if I have a room. So I can roll it over to Rdsp, and then I can withdraw as my retirement income at a later date. So that's how we can plan it. So definitely it's one-to-one more consultation we can do. But this is a general guidance that in case that kind of scenario happens, these are the options. So if let's just before we go ahead, I have one more question. So what if can I change the beneficiary in my Rdsp account to other child in the family?
We can do that. Some companies, it depends company to company service provider. Some companies allow you to do that. Some companies doesn't allow you to do that. But sometimes we prefer if the grandparents are doing the Rdsp, we prefer to let's say I have 3 kids and then I'm doing for my grandkids. then we prefer the grandparents should be opening a family plan. So whosoever needs the money, they can access that money. So depending on the, so that's why it's very important you sit down with your advisor and do see how the planning should be go from the initial stage.
Got it. So this is how it sums up, right? You build it and then how you withdraw it, right?
Yes.
Can we talk about an example that how much a parent can contribute and what we expect at the end?
Yeah, sure. So I have actually a slide for the thing. So let's assume a parent is putting $208. So because if you put $2,500 a year, you get the full grant for the whole year, right? So we are assuming if you divide that with the 12, it's $208. So that's the illustration we're running here. So we are putting $208 for newborn baby, and net family income is between 49 to 98,000. So we're not assuming that there is any CLD. So rate of return we are running here at 5%, which is very doable. And we're in the province of Ontario. So if you see that your contribution as a parent is $42,848. You could, because you're getting, because you're doing from the day one, so you got the full $7,200 grant plus the interest rate, compounded interest you earn is close to $30,000. And if we are doing if you're calculating the diploma bonus as well, so 15% of 42,000, 6,427 bonus is also included. So if you see, you have put only 42,000 with grants, with interest, with bonus and everything. You have created a big fund of close to $86,000 for your child education. You only actually, if you see in this case, you actually doubled your money, almost doubled your money, right? So that's, I being the parent always recommend that, you know what, nothing can beat this.
Sure.
Doubling your money, kind of doubling your money, right?
Got it. And this is a number based on a 5% interest, right? But this is definitely not fixed. You can even get a better return, so you can get even lower returns, depends how the market and the economy goes. So this slide is just an example of a comparative maturity projection. So if you look at 5% based on $208 contributions for a newborn child, we're looking at overall maturity value of 85,000. And if the average return over the period of time is about 7%, then we're looking at an overall maturity value of around $96,000. And if we are looking at a 9% rate of return, we are looking at a maturity value of $121,000. And this is because the compounding works.
Yes.
The more you are averaging out in terms of your returns, the higher the value you see at the end of the period. Now, I also want to sometimes point out that sometimes some feel that a $49,000 investment can double up somewhere else. But we need to understand that this is not 49,000 lump sum.
Yeah.
This is a small chunks of $200 over the period of time, and that's how the money is going. This is called a disciplined saving. I want to ask you, Harpreet, a question, right? Let's say if a parent comes to us and say that I have a $50,000 cash, and why don't you take a cash and give me a $7,200? Can that happen?
No. It's like as your contribution goes in. So there is a cap from the CRA.
Yeah.
Every year you cannot just dump like 50,000 and get the full $7,200 and let it grow for the next 17 years. You can put 50,000 in one time, but the grants you will not get it because there is a cap on the grant. The maximum grant in 1 year you can only get is $1,000.
Got it. Yeah. So basically they want us to, or they want the parent to go into a disciplined monthly saving.
Yes.
Because they don't want to they want the parent to save in a disciplined way over the period of time, and that's how they want the parents to plan.
And then another thing, government doesn't also want to do that. If every parent is dumping 50,000, and then they have to give 72 to every child, it can be a tough game for the government as well.
So I want to ask one more question, right? So we always say with the compounding there is a time value of the growth that a money receives, right? So let's look at the numbers that if a parents they delay the plan of starting the RESP, what is the value that we are looking at in terms of difference in the overall maturity value of the money? So if we go on the next slides.
Yes, please.
So,
yeah. Okay. So if we look at this slide, and then if we're looking at the chart, newborn, as we have done the calculation the previous slide, it's 85,000 we have accumulated, right? But let's say your child is 4-year-old, and then you do the same contribution and everything. what the accumulation will be $54,000.
Mhm.
So you are losing basically $31,000. That is the growth and the other parts because you have missed 4 years growth.
Yeah. Mhm.
So if you delay for 10 years, you're losing basically 68% of the growth.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
I always, these numbers are very drastic that I always say whenever the child is there, you start saving the plan.
Okay.
Don't delay it for a year, just start saving. Whatever you can do it, start with $100, $200, $150, and there is always a chance you can increase it. But believe me, I have seen that too, that sometimes parents start from small, they stuck with that. So my preference always is, you know what, if you have a slide that
Yes. So,
the how much time tax we are getting
correct.
every
We'll
every
talk about
yeah.
that next. Right.
So I always say don't delay. As soon as the child comes in, please open the account.
Yeah.
RDSP.
For sure. So we have some questions in the chat box, and I just want to take a pause, right? So
Okay.
let's answer these questions. So we have a question from Mr. Kohli which says that why does it say the maximum of 500 contribution to an RESP each year? So
500?
To an RESP each year. So why, Mr. Kohli, if you want to just unmute yourself, can we do that? And
Let's
ask
see.
the question.
Yeah, because 500.
Harshpreet Kohli.
Maximum 500 contribution. No, no one. I know. 500. I think she might be. She or
No,
he.
it's Harshpreet Kohli.
Yeah. So I think they might be like $2,500 contribution.
Yes.
Because that's if you are saying 2,500, that's the maximum grant we get it for newborn child.
I don't see him in the.
Okay, he's not here now.
Yeah.
Okay, which is fine. So, but the answer, basically, this is not the case. The 500 contribution is not required. To get the maximum grant for starting a newborn child, you need to do $2,500 in the yearly contribution. That's how you get the maximum grant. But based on if parent is planning to maximize $50,000, we can even go over $2,500. There is no such restriction or guidance by the CRA. So, if anybody has any questions before we proceed, please raise your hand and then we can go to the next discussion.
So, not right now. I see only one question which you answered. Okay. Amrit raised a hand. Okay. So Amrit. Hello, Amrit. Please go ahead.
Oh, shit.
Yes, please.
Hello?
Yes, Amrit. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So my question is like, I started contributing for RSP for my kids the day they're born, right? The year they're born, right?
Mhm.
But after 4 years, hello? You guys can hear me, right?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so after 4 years, both of my boys got diagnosed with autism. So I'm not sure they're gonna go to college or university when they're 18 or 19. So should I still contribute to RSP or what should I do?
Yes. So, in my opinion, I would say you keep contributing.
Yeah.
Money grow. So
Yeah.
then they might not go to. I wish that I hope and I definitely wish that they should be getting recovered, and they might not go for the full time course. And then always there are which company you're with.
Knowledge first.
Yeah, so I think there we can always talk about it case to case. It can vary, but I would suggest that you keep contributing in, and then
Yeah.
when what you can do if they're let's say they're not taking the university or college level kind of a courses, but they're taking whatever their mental level at that time is, they're taking according to that cases. Then the RESP can fund those cases. Let's say they don't go for the university or stuff like that. Whatever
Yeah.
you can use that money for their business, for their any other way they need it.
So, and I think
Okay.
to add there, there is an option to roll it over to RDSP in case they qualify.
Yes.
So that is another thing. But of
Yeah.
course, Amrit, we can get to that one-to-one, correct?
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
but there's an option to get to that with RDSP, you can roll it over and use it as a later age, the regular way the RDSP works.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, we are hoping that they will be fine because this is something which can be cured and then can be when taken care. So if they
Yeah.
qualify by that time, then
Yeah, because right now they both go to regular school.
yeah. So then
So
yeah.
they're not severe, they're like a moderate to severe. So they might do something, they might not, but right now he's like, my older one is 10 years old, he's pretty independent right now. So but I was wondering, like, if I continue paying that and then when they're 18, 19, they're not going to go to college, or if even if they do like 6 months, will they get that the grant?
So let me tell you, if they are with the knowledge first, they go for 13 weeks. You will
Yeah.
be you will be eligible to get all your principal, whatever you have put it in, all your grant, all your course, you will be eligible to get everything. And then that, let's say you only paid the fees, let's say there's a $50,000, you only paid the fees $5,000. So $45,000 you can take it out,
Right.
you can do the investment, you can open a business account, whatever they want you to do with that money. So there's
But
no
with sorry, I'm cutting you off. Sorry. With the RSP, I can transfer to RDSP. Will they deduct the grant from it, or?
companies always do the exceptions if there is such kind of scenarios happen. But we would recommend you, if you need any help further discussion, you can contact us later.
But I cannot do it now. If I want to do it, I can do it when he's 18.
Yes. With the knowledge first, I will not suggest you to do anything right now.
Uh-huh.
Because in certain companies, then like knowledge first, heritage, you pay the upfront fees. So if you're
Oh,
doing
okay.
that, you'll be actually losing money in that. So I would not
Oh.
suggest you do that. But give me a call and then I'll try to find out what best we can do later.
All right. Thank you.
So, Amrit, I think we have given Harpita given a very good answer. So reach out to our team and we will be happy to assist you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we have two more questions. Do you want me to take it, or do you want to attend to them later on?
We can answer them right now.
Okay.
So there is an anonymous attendee, so not sure why it's anonymous, but that's fine. How much fees do we have to pay to take out money? So there is no fees to take out the money. Or can you say how much fees to take care of money? There is no fees to take care of the money. There are certain RESP plans which do that, but those RESP plans, we don't work with them. So in our case, it's not going to be any money. Whatever principal you are contributing, grants you are getting, you can log into your account and you can see what's going on with my money. So I
And
hope that answers.
the returns you get it, that is yes, there is MER,
Yes.
depending on the funds and then stuff. But that is the returns you see in your account, those are net returns. Those are after deduction, everything. So basically you don't need, you're not paying anything from your pocket. And then the next question is, do I get any tax rebate for the contribution which I'm putting in RESP? No, sir. It's the after-tax money. You're contributing after tax, and then there is no debate on anything. You are getting it. Can a visitor to Canada grandparent contribute to the RESP as a gift? Grandparents, yes, they can contribute into the RESP.
But now the question is, the
They are
visitor to
very-
Canada.
No, that's fine because when we are setting up the RESP through, if the grandparents are doing it, they don't need the grandparents' information. They can actually have an account and then they can deposit the money. They need the parents' information. So the grants kids will get, they will be according to the parents' income. So they need the child SIN number, they need parents' SIN number, and parents' income and parents' signature. But contribution grandparents can do. So how does the grant and rate of return change with net family income? For example, so grants, basically basic grants, everyone gets $7,200. It doesn't change if the family income is million, 2 million, doesn't matter. But the returns, it's also it's a return you're getting it from your money. It is not related to your income anyway. So yeah, grants you will be only if the family income is after certain amount, then you will be only getting the basic grant, which will be $7,200.
So going back to this previous question, which says, can a visitor to Canada grandparents contribute? Now, my question to you guys: do they need to have a Canadian bank account, or the funds could be coming from India?
Yes, but it has to from a Canadian account.
From
So
Canadian
the
account.
grandparent can transfer to their here account, or they can
Okay.
leave the lump sum money and we can set it up.
Okay.
Differently. Can I go to the
Yes, let's talk about child benefits because sometimes parents they can plan the RESP with the child benefit that they are getting. So let's talk about that how the child benefits they get in the with the parents' hand. So just a quick introduction, but we are not the tax specialist. So for that you need to consult your accountant or tax specialist to get a specific number of.
I was gonna say that.
Yes,
Very nice.
How much you get as a child benefit. But what we are presenting here is a very general guidance of how much a parent can expect based on their net family income. Yeah. So Happy, you want to take that?
So child benefits, if we're talking about if the family income is 31,000, approximately family gets $563 per child. If you have 4 children in the family, then you will get 4 times of this money. But if even let's say the family income is more than 100,000, every parent gets for every child is like almost $270. So I always say there is always the government is giving you the money. You just take out that money, $200, deposit it into the RESP account, and then again the government is giving you 20% on the money they gave you previously, and then that money is compoundingly growing. It's very good. Yeah. So you don't need to pay. Being a parent, you don't need to put anything from your pocket. So child tax, you're getting it. If you align, if you use that money nicely, you can actually plan. You can save. It's the same money can make more money for you.
Sure, that's good. So let's take a pause there, right? And let's talk. Happy, I hear a lot from the parents, and they come to me as well. A lot of the times they are saying that it's better to do. Sometimes they compare the RESP with the cash value life insurance policy. It's a good step, but is it a first right step for education planning? And can a parent do only RESP or they can do only life insurance, or can they do both? So let's talk about that and compare the both.
Yes. So if I'm saying like life insurance is better or RESP is better, that's there is no comparison on that, right? So RESP has their own benefits, and whole life participating policies, the permanent policies have their own benefits. Being a parent, if I would be I would be deciding for my kids, I would be doing the both. So first will be the RESP to get the maximum grants, because that's the kind of a free money, or like kind of, I would say it's a kind of a money you getting it, and then it's getting compoundedly growth, right? So that's the one thing. Definitely, I want to do the full contribution in RESP, and let's say after that I have a room and I have capacity to spare some more money for my kids. Then next my choice is definitely going with the participating policy for the kids, because it is giving them the permanent coverage. And it is growing also as well. And but if I have to choose like one of that, then definitely my first choice will be RESP, and then second is most of the time parents come to me and says how much you can spare. They said, oh, we can spare $300, and they said, okay, let's do 150 for RESP to get the grants, and let's do 150 for the whole life to insure and do the life insurance for your child as well. So we can always. It depends case to case as well. So how much parents can actually put it on a slide, and then
Okay. So so basically you're saying that when it comes to the first step when a parent is taking for the child, it's better to plan for their education, because when they're going to be 17 or 18, that's the first thing as a cash they will need. So the first thing is to go for the RESP, and then if the room allows and then there's extra that the parents want to contribute, there's one option to go for a participating whole life policy. But I want to ask you that what are the benefits of getting a permanent life insurance for the child at a very young age?
Yes. So first thing, I always, being in the insurance field, I always insurability. People think it's very easy to get the insurance. On the other hand, I think this is getting insurance is very difficult. If your health is not on your side. Right? So insurability, what does insurability mean? Insurability means if whether by health whether I qualify to get the insurance or not. If I'm healthy, then I have hundreds of choices. I can go with any company, any plan, and everything. But if I have some kind of an issue, some kind of an issue diagnosed to me, then I have very limited choices. And if we are doing the young kids life insurance, I think the first thing we are doing good is for them is insurability. We're locking their premium at a very young age. So if the child is 1 year old, 0, then we're locking their premium at a very young age, which actually is if we're doing the comparison with the premium, parents premium, it's a huge difference.
Okay.
So insurability is one thing, and the second thing is permanent life insurance coverage is there that the child is actually getting the permanent policy. Cash values are available for multiple purposes, like down the road at the age of 60, 40, 50, 60, they need extra money, extra cash, the cash is there. And the growth is there, so cash value also grows with the dividend. So and then there is an option so you can actually pay up these policies, and you have parents have a choice to pay it off in 8 years, 10 years, 20 years. So that is also another where your advisor will come in and they will suggest you that this is how you should be planning.
So these participating policies, right? They get the dividends and with the dividends, what do the dividends do for the policy?
Dividend actually helps to grow the cash value and the coverage as well.
So whatever coverage the child is getting as of today, so once the plan is paid up or even during the plan is getting paid up, there is increase in the coverage every year with the dividends.
Yes, sir. So we have actually the next slide, this slide, if you see that, if the child started with the plan with 450, if we are putting the $200 a month in the same, the child insurance, $451,000 coverage we're starting with. But if you see by the time the child is 65, the coverage increased to $1 million. So sometimes the parents says, okay, 450,000 is a good amount right now. What will happen after 20 years? After when we're talking like 10, 60 years down the road, 400,000 is nothing. So this plan actually allows the coverage to grow. The dividend actually helps to grow the coverage. Plus, if you see the second column, the cash values will also grow.
Yeah.
So let's say at the age of 30, the child wants to buy the house, then he has a $90,000 cash value there, which he can use it to buy the house and then for multiple purposes.
Correct. So basically, I just want to clarify with the parents that this is not something, the first step we are talking about. The first step is definitely the RESP. This is on top of whatever you are doing. And this can be the one strategy to think about where you're getting the benefits on both the sides with the permanent life insurance and with the RESP as well. So, we discussed about this as a one plan. This is how you build the RESP. This is how you withdraw the RESP, and these are the different options when you're withdrawing the RESP. But while as a parent, we have opened up the RESP, right? Sometimes we miss the importance of the review. Sometimes we miss the importance of the advice that when my money is sitting there for 80 years, does it require a supervision? Does it require a professional review every year? And when I'm withdrawing from the RESP, does it require any professional advice or that?
Yeah, definitely. So we discussed like previously as well that definitely if it's a self-maintained plan, then you need to see your advisor. I still recommend you need to see your advisor every year or twice after 2 years, right? So if it's a self-maintained account, so still you need to sit down. You want to make sure that the kid is getting the grants, they're up to date. Sometimes we're delayed with the taxes, and then sometimes the grants all of a sudden stop coming in. So then if you are in the loop with your advisor, they can keep tracking the things like properly. Your deposits are going in, your grants are going in. So it helps you to actually keep that. Sometimes I have seen that the parents change the account. If they change the account, they forget to update it to the insurance company or to the advisor. And then advisor forget about it, like, okay, you know what, because there is no communication. So what happened, the plan lapse and then there is no contribution. So let's say you didn't even notice for 2 years, then you missed 2 years contribution, you missed 2 years grants, you missed 2 years growth. So it's going to be a big damage. So I would recommend, yes, definitely you should be sitting with your advisor and checking up the things that it's up to date and stuff.
Okay.
And then on the other hand, if it's an investment kind of RESP, you are doing it and you are maintaining that RESP, then definitely you need to sit once a year or every 6 months whenever there is anything you see, okay, I need to sit down with you sit down with your advisor and see and watch if there is a need to change the investment, there is a change in the portfolio, there is a need to change in the investments, then you should definitely.
So we need that, right?
Yes.
And what about while we are withdrawing the money? Why do we need to plan for that?
So as we discussed before,
Yes.
that withdrawal is also a very important thing. How we are withdrawing the money.
Yeah.
We need to see the tax consequences. On which amount is coming out on which on subscriber name, on joint subscriber name, on beneficiary name. It will help you to actually the professional advice will help you to take out the money efficiently with more dollars in your hands rather than paying taxes onto the company.
Okay. Got it. We have some questions. Let's go through that, right? So, anonymous attendee, can I go to the offices for more details? I have 4 boys. I need more information. Yeah, sure, you can do that. Not a problem. Yes. And then, what is the maximum amount you can contribute per month to gain maximum? I'm contributing 210 now. So yes, 210 per year gives around $2,500 every year, which is the maximum you contribute to get the maximum grant. But it depends when you started.
Yes.
So if you started late, then you to catch up the previous years, you can increase your $210 contribution so that you can catch up on the missed years as well. So you can increase in the same RESP, you can increase the contribution, or in the or you can open up a separate RESP as well, and then start contributing extra money in the separate RESP. So we can do that. So, do you want to add anything?
Yes, definitely. You're saying that sometimes parents do have that thing that, you know what, I have opened a RESP with bank and I'm depositing $50 over there and then I can only open one RESP. No. Tell that if you are not exceeding the $50,000 limit, you can have actually 10 RESPs. But the thing is, you have to only make sure that you are not exceeding the 50,000 contribution. So you can have $50,000 per month here, 50,000 here. But I would say do your research beforehand, and then you open an account, and then you do the contribution religiously.
Got it. We have a next question. What happens if there is no survivor in the family, neither to claim the RESP due to COVID or any other reason? Who claims or gets the money? Is there any contingent beneficiary available?
If you actually, there's no kind of a situation like contingent beneficiary or something like that. If no one in the family is there, then definitely that can go, because you said. But yes, if there is a will, that's why it is very important to have the wills. You should have your proper. We actually, in Canada, I always see that one mistake in our life, it takes us 10 years back. And then plans never fail. We fail to plan the things. We never bothered like, oh, I don't have anything. Why don't I do need a will? Why do I need this? But in these countries, definitely. I have a case where claim happened. The beneficiary died. The person died and then the beneficiary died and there was no contingent beneficiary. At that time, the family was going through some kind of a scenario. They didn't put anyone's contingent beneficiary. Now the money is going in a trust account. So this is what happened. This is what is going to happen with this kind of a scenario. If no one is there, then according to will, the money will be dispersed to the person. Because no one will get the grants, and no one will get but your principal and growth on that principal will be dispersed as per your will or with your loan. That's how it is going to go. It's going to go into your estate and then it will be distributed after that. Your will is.
That's right. Okay. So I think there are no further questions.
No further questions.
Ask listeners that if you have any questions, raise your hand. Otherwise, we have a very good thing to announce at the end of the seminar.
Yes, please.
So wait for a few minutes. If anybody has any questions, if they want to clarify or anything, just raise your hand and we'll unmute you.
Meanwhile, can we just?
I would say we should go ahead and as they have, we will take their question. Okay.
So here is the exciting news, everyone. So in 2020, last year as well, we have done that protect, save, and win contest. Last year we gave away a few